It's time to talk Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse spoilers. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. Joined by my lovely lady friend Cam. How you doing?
Hi.
And today we're doing a deep dive into Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, just our spoiler talk. The movie's been out for a while now, so if you somehow still haven't seen it, drop a like, go watch the movie and come back. Comment your spoiler-filled thoughts down below so we can have a little discussion down there. And of course, subscribe and hit that notification bell. But let's go ahead and dive right in. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and summarize the whole movie for you guys. You've seen it.
Spoilers, Gwen's the best character of the entire movie.
Yeah.
Continue.
Gwen ruled in this movie. She had so much to do. They fleshed out her backstory fully, solidifying herself as my favorite Spider variant from this franchise. Definitely.
See, I've been on this road, but it's nice to see that everyone else is finally getting on board.
Yeah, I mean, the movie opens with, like, her full-on backstory. Heartbreaking stuff.
Yeah.
We see her have to reveal her identity to her father, and then he still, like, continues the Miranda rights, like, having to arrest her. It's sad.
Rough. Yeah,
and then she ends up going with, 2099 and Jess Drew. Really cool opening, I'd say. Like, the way they set it up. On rewatch 2, it plays even smoother.
I was seated.
Yeah. Literally the first act of this movie, I've seen it 3 times now. I'd say from the moment we jump to Miles until Gwen arrives and they actually go to Spider-Man India. Yeah. Until that point in time, the movie's not bad, but it's literally just Miles struggling to balance. Miles and Spider-Man.
Yeah. He's
late to his dad's promotion party, and that's pretty much it. Gwen shows up.
Realistically, all the stuff with Miles and his parents, it's a lot, but also it sets up and, helps the ending of the movie where we see Miles, tell his mom, hey, I'm Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And you're ready to see her reaction. You're like, oh, he's finally telling her. This is going to be great. Will she accept him? Will she be mad at him? What's it going to be? And then she's just like, who's Spider-Man?
Yeah.
And you're like,
what?
Huh?
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The end of this movie, when he ends up, getting in that machine and getting sent to Earth 42, really well executed twist. Especially because they, do the classic misdirection where Gwen is in Earth 1610, right? And
Correct.
She's going to Miles' house there, and both settings are shown, it's rainy, so it looks like they're in the same universe, but then there's that moment of realization where she's like, he's in the wrong universe.
Yeah. It actually makes me really mad because when you watch it again, it's like, why did I not notice that the machine literally says clear as day, Earth 42?
They really did set it up so well, too. And the whole middle act, I mean, you've got tons of Spider-Man chasing after Miles. That was just really cool to see. Mm-hmm. Lots of cameos in this movie. Let's talk about one real quick, the biggest. Donald Glover playing Prowler here. I talked about this with some friends. I want to get your 2 cents here, too. That, to me, confirms that he's going to be in the MCU. And what I mean by that is he's an anomaly in this film. So now the MCU or whoever makes Spider-Man 4 or the movie that Miles is going to come into the MCU in, they have free reign. Because in Spider-Man Homecoming, they had an Uncle Aaron played by Donald Glover. He mentioned how he had a nephew, a.k.a. Miles. That's in the MCU. So I'm thinking whenever they do set it up, he can become the Prowler and then somehow be an anomaly. They can put him in the Sonyverse movies if they want. They can put him in the Spider-Man movies if they want. It gives a free palette to the writers.
Yeah, because he's an anomaly and because he's in Spider-Man HQ, they can send him back to wherever. They can literally come up with any plot they want. Be like, well, we know he was on Earth 19999 or whatever MCU Earth is, but actually he's an anomaly and he's supposed to be on Earth 42 for all we know.
Yeah.
And they send him there, who knows? So they can put him anywhere.
We'll have to see, but it was a really cool cameo.
Oh, I was hyped.
Yeah, I mean, that was the best in the movie. That's the one we were talking about in the non-spoiler review where we were like, there's a cool cameo. It was that one.
Yeah.
For sure.
100%.
Tobey and Andrew make an appearance in this movie.
Yes.
Very brief.
Reused footage.
Yeah, of them witnessing these canon events.
Yeah, Andrew with Captain Stacy and Tobey with Uncle Ben. You might have missed Tobey because he's just wee little bitty in the corner, but Andrew's there clear as day.
The whole Web of Life and Destiny scene is it's exposition heavy, but it's important.
You know what I realized? So you know how this scene happens and Miguel, there's it looks like they're all surrounded by black and there's that little white dot that's coming down and Miles is like, what's that? And Miguel's like, that's everything, and then it branches off into this tree.
Yes.
That tree animation looks like Loki.
Yep.
100%.
Mm-hmm. My friend leaned over and said, I wonder where I've seen that before.
Yeah.
It's that was pretty neat, but seeing the actual animation of this scene was beautiful. It went down the line of every canon event. Now, I wonder if they just didn't include this in the movie or whatever. Uncle Ben dying for Andrew was a canon event, but also Captain Stacy dying was a canon event in that universe, right? Mm-hmm. So there were multiple canon events in Andrew's timeline. Just a quick question.
I think somewhere down the line, Captain Stacy probably dies in Tobey's Spider-Man, but we don't see it because we don't ever see him get close to Gwen Stacy, so it doesn't matter. It's not necessarily just Captain Stacy that's dying. The canon event is your uncle dies, and then a police captain that's close to you dies.
Yeah, but for Gwen, that's not the case. hers is Peter Parker. So I guess it just depends, right?
Yeah.
It just depends on the person.
Look at you making points.
Yeah. Even Miles, it's like Uncle Aaron. It's not always an Uncle Ben or something. So.
Yeah, it's an Uncle Ben type. But you know what? I'm actually gonna make a video about that.
She doesn't have an uncle or aunt that dies. To my knowledge, I'm not a Gwen Stacy diehard. But
her mom dies. Her mom dies, but that's like we never see that. It doesn't matter. She's just raised by her dad.
Interesting. So yeah, that was all cool. I'd say one of my favorite scenes on rewatch is the chase scene where it culminates on the train. Miguel O'Hara is like yelling, "I'm like, you're the original anomaly." That just gave me chills. Like that, the way that all played out. Like Miles was never actually supposed to be Spider-Man, and it's brilliant writing the way that pays off in the end with him literally being in the universe he was not meant to be in. Like the spider that bit him was meant to be in. And then seeing that version of Miles, seeing the consequences of all that in Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to be, I think I have full faith, because this movie, it set up, had so much set up for it and Into the Spider-Verse that we didn't think anything of. Mm-hmm. The spider glitching in the first film, we're like, whatever.
The spider having a big ass 42 on the back of it.
Which made sense, but at the same time it was like...
We just didn't think about it.
Yeah, it's like you don't put two and two together. And then even Spot, who's the villain of this movie, getting a bagel thrown at him. That was like just a joke that felt like, throwaway in the first movie, but it ended up having some weight in Across the Spider-Verse. So this is a smart movie. I really believe they'll stick the landing in Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And I also want to address the whole, it has an abrupt ending crowd, which seems to have fizzled out of it. Like that crowd has seemed to die down a bit. But Gwen is at the forefront here. The movie opens with her. It's her arc, essentially. And that's why at the opening, she is with her band, and then it's a beautiful callback at the end. She like forms her own band. It's like, you want in. It's chilling, and even to go further, and then I'll let you speak about it because I know you love Gwen. The opening of this movie, and you notice it the first time. I was like, wait, have we seen that? But on watch 2 and 3, they're showing events that haven't even happened yet. That will be later in the movie through Gwen's POV.
I made a video about this. You can argue that the entire movie is honestly told from Gwen's perspective, or like kind of narrated by Gwen, because it starts out with her talking and we're seeing all these flashes to Miles Into the Spider-Verse, and then we see things happening to Miles that we as an audience haven't seen yet upon first watch, and it's like, what? And her voiceover is like, and I didn't want to hurt him, but I did. So that's a past tense narration. This whole movie is kind of her just recapping everything from her perspective. And then it ends with her narration being present. I
really love the way that they used her in this movie.
She's perfect and I love her.
Her world, the animation style of it, everything, it was
everything
really
about
neat.
her is perfect.
And there's just so many details in this movie, like Hobie assembling the watch that he gives to Gwen at the end of the movie.
Hobie Brown.
Like, you catch up these little things each time you watch the movie on round 2. It's like, oh, that's why he was kind of assembling these pieces and everything. And it's just a smart movie. I stand by this. I don't think it's the greatest comic movie ever made. Like, if someone says that, then in my mind, it's like, oh, that's a little overrated. But it's a fantastic movie.
It can be your favorite comic book movie ever made. It can be your favorite comic book movie you've ever watched. Is it objectively the best? Like, who knows?
Not in my mind. Because I think Into is better.
That's fine.
A better movie, like from beginning to end, pound for pound. If we're like comparing like character development and just rewatchability, all of those factors that go into comparing movies, I think Into still takes the cake for me. But Across the Spider-Verse wonderfully sets up that conclusion. It's more Gwen's story here, and that's not bad. And Miles will be the more prominent character in the next one, because it's like him dealing with the aftermath of this. I loved the way that it kind of had a little cliffhanger. It didn't bother me. I felt full.
Yeah.
I felt full, and I'm like, I can wait 10 months. And a lot of people are I think people did forget the era of waiting a year for a movie. We grew up in it.
Yeah.
We literally, like, the Hobbit trilogy, the Hunger Games movies, the Pirates movies, the back half of Twilight. Harry Potter even.
Harry Potter?
Like, we're used to this. Yeah, we're used to this. And we still have to wait multiple years. We're spoiled that this movie comes out in 10 months.
No,
we are spoiled.
It's genuinely something that we're never going to see stop, because we're in like an era
of the TikTok.
Straight to streaming, all that jazz. And especially with the pandemic, like, getting things instantly is something that we kind of got used to, because it was able just to come to our house on our screens, and it's not like that anymore. They're trying to move away from that for a reason, because, like, movies need to exist in the theater, so people are going to be impatient. Yeah, we are very lucky that this movie is coming out in 10 months. It could come out in another 5 years.
Could be a full year, could be 3 to 5 years. A lot of times, like...
It was 5 years for this one, right?
It was 5 years.
That's wild.
So why do people have the audacity to complain about it?
I will kiss the animator's feet.
We have to wait, like, the Batman Part 2. That's not coming out till like 25, 26. Look at Stranger Things. Look at even Infinity War. That was a full year. You go back in time, the original trilogy, 3 years between those movies.
I'm pretty sure the Percy Jackson TV show got announced for the first time in like 2020, 2021.
Yeah, patience
I've been waiting 4 years.
Exactly. You can't have everything all at once, because then you first of all can't watch it all. Yeah. And it's great to have things to look forward to on the calendar. So
it makes like the days go by faster.
Absolutely.
Gwen is just the most top tier character ever. And it's funny because leading up to Across the Spider-Verse, I did a bunch of TikTok videos talking about her, and I always started out with saying that she's my favorite fictional character. I had so many people commenting on my videos being like, really? She's your favorite fictional character of all time? And I'm like, yeah. And what about it? And then the movie came out, and now everyone's like, I get it. I'm like, thanks.
With Into the Spider-Verse, there were a lot of details that we didn't fully grasp until Across the Spider-Verse. There's a lot surrounding Miguel O'Hara in this movie, notably in the opening. I know that he's like vampire-esque.
I don't trust him.
Like, no, he's gonna be a full-on villain in the next movie. I'm pretty sure.
I just
like
think
he
he's
was
wrong.
first of all, he was an antagonist in this movie. I don't think people realize that.
Yeah.
He's an antagonist in this movie. On round 3, I went with 3 of my good friends, and it was fun to get their perspective. It was their first viewing. They were all like, yeah, something shady is going on with Miguel, and I think he's either lying, withholding some of the truth, but we're gonna have to see all of it come to light in the next movie.
The thing about Miguel that gets me is that he just confuses me as a whole. I read a little bit about him, and I also noticed this. When we first see him in Spider-Man HQ, he injects himself with some spider stuff. Like he was never bit by a spider. He accidentally injected himself with something that gave him spider powers, and in order to keep them, he has to constantly inject himself with it. Is that not an anomaly? I'm like so confused. I don't trust him. I think he's weird. He is a walking red flag in my humble opinion, and he's lying and he's mean and he's a bully.
I mean, I'm not gonna argue with any of that. He's shady as hell. There's something going on. I think he's lying about his backstory.
I think he's lying to himself. I think if his Earth disappeared and his fam, or not his Earth, but the Earth he went to disappeared and all that stuff, maybe that's because of you, just you, not Spider-Man. Just you.
You just made me think of 2 things from the film. Number 1, early on when he is in the light of the helicopter, he's like, I'm not a bad guy, or I'm not a villain. He says one of those 2 things. Later in the film, Gwen gets sent back to her universe, and she's like, I thought we were supposed to be the good guys, or we were supposed to be the good guys. And he's like,
we are.
Yeah. He is a villain, and it's been in front of our eyes. He's honestly might be the main antagonist alongside Spot in the next movie.
You don't animate somebody with that shoulder to waist ratio and not expect them to be a villain.
I mean, Oscar Isaac can play a villain, so.
That's not all he does, except for Poe Dameron.
He's Moon Knight. What are you talking about? What is Moon Knight?
Anti-hero.
What is Moon Knight anyway?
Anti-hero.
Mid. That's what it is. One last thing I want to mention here is at the end when we do see 2 things, actually. The whole Prowler scene, beautifully shot. It's kind of keeping us like, what's going on? The way it pans up on the roof to show that Jefferson Davis is actually dead. It's literally the same graffiti art as Uncle Aaron on Earth 1610. Also, when when Aaron punches Miles...
I thought Miles was dead.
I thought his brains were splattered.
I was like...
Yeah, I was like, his brains just splattered all over the place. But on the TV in that room, you can see the Sinister Six, and I think they have to be in Beyond, and it needs to be variations of them. I would love to see like a traditional Goblin, Mysterio, hell, a Lizard, a Kraven, like some type of villain we haven't seen really in action. Because in the first one, we saw like Scorpion, we saw the big version of Goblin. I want to see some variety.
Yeah. It would be interesting if they got back like voice actors that have played those characters before. Like, what if they had Mysterio and they got Jake Gyllenhaal?
That'd be awesome. Give us a yes. Do that with every live action. Give us a Venom. Ooh, now we're cooking. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Do you think we'll see Tom, Toby, or Andrew voice a character in the next one?
I think it's interesting that the only Spider-Person they specifically didn't choose to put in this movie was Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
I think that's a rights thing, for sure. But I also think we go to the Venom universe. I totally forgot to mention that. We go to the Venom universe. There's a Spider-Man in that universe. They've talked about it in Morbius, and even when Vulture arrives after Morbius. We don't know who the Spider-Man is in that universe. I firmly believe that it is going to be Andrew Garfield. I mean, hell, I'm pretty sure it's unofficially confirmed that it's Andrew who's the Spider-Man.
Isn't he getting too old to want to be in the spider suit, though?
Let's have it.
He said it himself.
Let's have it. One more.
Oh, I'll take it all day.
Let's get one more like proper send off to him. Emma Stone can come back for like a flashback scene. And it can hurt us even more because we need that. Yeah. So, with Kraven and Madam Web coming out, are they gonna lean into like this live action Sony Spider-Verse? Who knows? Lots of questions, but I'm excited for Beyond the Spider-Verse. A lot of people saying the movie's gonna be like half live action. I call BS.
I think maybe a post-credit scene with something live action related. This is an animated trilogy. This is a trilogy.
Yeah.
This trilogy is literally setting records for animation. It's setting like landmarks for animation. It's doing things for animation that have never been done before. They're not gonna ruin that by ending the trilogy in live action.
No shot. So, Across the Spider-Verse, big win. Open to over 200 million worldwide opening. I think this is going to have long legs and get close to the $1 billion mark. I could see doing $700-800 million. So, what was that?
Long legs.
Oh, okay. I was like, what are you doing? I was going to try and talk past it. I couldn't. Let us know your spoilery thoughts on this movie down below. What are your predictions for Beyond the Spider-Verse? Let's talk about that down below. Hit that like button. Follow Cam on all of our social medias linked down below. And stay tuned for tonight, the Flash out of theater reaction. Hit the notification bell. You're not going to want to miss it. Me, probably solo dolo, but it'll be fine.
I will be there.
And yeah.
No interest.
That's fine. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. And until next time, see you guys later.